there was a practice systematically erased from human memory in the temples of Egypt, in the hidden schools of Tantra, in the sanctuaries of Eleusis. Priestesses knew something the modern world has forgotten. They knew that the moment of bleeding is not weakness. It is a portal, a gateway into the subtle realms, a time of deepest magic. But this knowledge was stolen from you. The church called menstruation the curse of Eve. Society taught you to hide, to be ashamed, to endure in silence. And now you live with the belief that every month your body breaks down. Perhaps you know this feeling, the exhaustion that doesn't pass after sleep, the heaviness that settles into your bones. Emotions come in waves: anger, sadness, irritation. They crash over you without warning.
You try to function as usual. You push yourself to be productive, to stay active, to keep going. But your body screams something different. It wants to stop, to go inward, to descend into darkness. Your belly aches, your lower back pulls. There's fog in your mind, and you think this is just physiology, something to endure, something to suppress with pills and pretend it's not happening. But your soul remembers differently. It remembers that this state is sacred, that blood is not waste. It is a substance of transformation, that your womb is an athanor, an inner furnace where the great work of your soul occurs every single month. For thousands of years, women held this knowledge. They understood that menstruation was not a curse. It was an initiation, a monthly death and rebirth, a ritual of power. In ancient Egypt, priestesses retreated during their bleeding time, not because they were unclean, but because they were most powerful. Their blood was collected in sacred vessels, used in healing elixirs, honored as liquid gold. In Tantric temples, the menstruating woman was revered as the living embodiment of the goddess. Her blood was called Pushpa, the sacred flower, the carrier of prana shakti, the life force itself. But patriarchy could not allow this, could not allow women to know their own power. So they inverted the truth. They called the sacred dirty. They called the portal curse. And millions of women lost access to their most powerful tool of transformation. I will return this knowledge to you, not as theory, as lived practice, as direct experience. You will learn to work with your cycle as the ancient priestesses did, as an alchemical map of transformation. Are you ready to remember what your body has always known? Then let us begin. Your menstrual cycle is not a biological function. It is an alchemical process. Your body performs it every month according to the laws of the great work. Do you know what alchemists sought? They sought to transform lead into gold. But this was never about metal. It was always about consciousness, about transforming the heavy, the dark, the wounded, into radiance, into power, into gold. And your body does this every single month. Let me show you the map. Nigredo, the blackening. This is menstruation, the death of the old, the descent into shadow, the meeting with everything you've buried. Your body bleeds out what no longer serves. This is not weakness. This is purification through blood. Albedo, the whitening. This is your follicular phase, the days after bleeding ends, the dawn after darkness. Your energy returns, your body awakens, movement flows again. This is purification through breath, through circulation, through rising life force. Rubedo, the reddening. This is ovulation, the peak of your power, the moment when your inner Athenor reaches its highest temperature. This is when intention becomes matter, when your will imprints itself onto reality. This is the birth of the philosopher's stone. In ancient Egypt, they understood this. They knew that menstrual blood possessed healing properties. It was not discarded. It was used, mixed into salves, into sacred oils, into medicines. The Egyptians saw menstruation as a form of purification, a cleansing of the body temple. In Tantra, there is a practice called Yoni Puja, the ritual worship of the sacred feminine. During this ceremony, menstrual blood is honored as pure, as holy. Why? Because it is the carrier of prana shakti. The blood contains the life force itself. But this truth was stolen. Patriarchy called the sacred unclean, and millions of women were severed from their own source of power. Now, some part of you may be thinking, this is all mystical nonsense. Menstruation is just hormones, just biology. And yes, hormones exist. Estrogen, progesterone, luteinizing hormone. They are real. But here is what modern medicine doesn't tell you. Hormones are not just chemicals. They are messengers. Messengers of energy, of consciousness, of the soul's movement through matter. The question is not whether hormones exist. The question is, do you want to only suppress them with pills and keep functioning like a machine?
Or do you want to learn what your body is trying to tell you when these messengers arrive? Your cycle is not random. It is not chaos. It is a precise alchemical formula repeating itself every moon. And when you learn to read it, when you learn to work with it instead of against it, everything changes. Your exhaustion becomes rest. Your darkness becomes insight. Your bleeding becomes initiation. This is not metaphor. This is mechanism. And I will teach you how to use it. I will now guide you through the 7 gates of menstrual alchemy. Each gate is a key. Each key unlocks a layer of your power that has been sleeping. These are not steps. They are not a linear path. They are gates within gates, spiraling deeper. Each month, you will pass through them again, and each time, you will understand more. Gate 1. Blood as sacred substance. You will learn what the ancients knew about menstrual blood, why it was revered, how it was used, and how to reclaim its power in your own life. Gate 2. Nigredo. The meeting with shadow. You will descend into the darkness of menstruation, not as a victim, but as an initiate. You will learn to receive the messages that come only in the bleeding time. Gate 3. The uterus as Athenor. You will awaken your womb as the inner furnace of transformation. You will learn to activate the fire within that burns away the old and births the new. Gate 4. Albedo. Purification through movement. You will discover how the follicular phase is the dawn after death, how to use movement, breath, and circulation to cleanse your energetic body. Gate 5. Rubedo. Ovulation as the moment of creation. You will learn to harness the peak of your cycle for manifestation. This is when your will becomes matter, when your intention imprints reality. Gate 6. The luteal phase. Integration. You will understand the harvest time when you gather what you have created and prepare for the next descent. Gate 7. Cyclical magic. You will learn to create rituals for each phase, to live in rhythm with your body instead of against it. Right now, you live life across your cycle. When your body asks for rest, you force activity. When ovulation gives you peak creative energy, you waste it on meaningless tasks. You are out of sync with your own rhythm, and you feel it. The friction, the exhaustion, the sense that you're constantly fighting yourself. But here is the paradox that will change everything. Society tells you menstruation is weakness, something to hide, something to push through, something to suppress with pills so you can keep producing like a machine. But the sacred truth is this: menstruation is a moment of highest power.
It is a portal into the subtle realms. During bleeding, the boundary between worlds grows thin. You have access to depths of intuition, creativity, and vision that are sealed off during the rest of your cycle. What they call your instability is actually cyclicality, the natural rhythm of the universe reflected in your body. What they call weakness is actually the descent necessary for transformation. And perhaps you're thinking, but I already take pills to not feel my cycle. Why would I change this? I'm not asking you to stop. I'm not telling you what to do with your body. That is your choice, always. But I am inviting you to try something. For 1 month, just observe. Notice what your body wants to tell you when you allow it to speak. Notice what you feel during each phase. Notice what wants to come through. You don't have to change anything. Just watch. Just listen. Because I have observed when women begin to honor their cycle instead of suppressing it, their entire relationship with their body transforms. Not overnight, not magically, but deeply, permanently. These 7 gates are not theory. They are practice. I will give you specific rituals, specific techniques, specific ways to work with your body during each phase. You will learn to use your menstruation for shadow work and vision, your follicular phase for energy cultivation, your ovulation for manifestation, your luteal phase for integration. Each gate builds on the one before it. Each practice deepens the one that came before. By the time we reach gate 7, you will no longer be the woman who started this journey. You will be the woman who remembers. The woman who knows her body is not broken. The woman who has reclaimed the stolen knowledge. Are you ready to pass through the first gate? Then come. The temple doors are opening. The temple doors stand open. We pass through the first gate. Gate 1. Blood as sacred substance. Menstrual blood is not dirty discharge. It is not waste to be flushed away in shame. In the ancient traditions, it was revered as the carrier of life force itself. In Egypt, priestesses collected their blood in sacred vessels. They mixed it with oils, with herbs, with intention. They knew it possessed healing properties. They used it in medicines, in rituals, in ceremonies of power. In Tantra, menstrual blood was called pushpa, the sacred flower. During yoni puja, the ritual worship of the feminine, this blood was honored as pure, as holy. Why? Because it carries prana shakti, the vital energy that animates all life. But this knowledge was stolen, erased, inverted.
What was sacred became unclean. What was power became curse. And now you flush your blood away without a second thought. You see it as something shameful, something to hide. But I will show you how to reclaim this. The first practice, the ritual of returning blood to earth.
You will need a menstrual cup. During your next bleeding time, collect your blood. When the cup is full, go to a place in nature, a garden, a forest, anywhere the earth is alive. Dilute the blood with water. Pour it onto the soil, onto plants, into the roots of a tree. As you pour, speak these words aloud or in silence. I return what was taken. I close the circle of life and death. I honor the sacred flow. Do this with full awareness. Feel what happens in your body as you speak these words. Notice the shift. Why does this work? Because blood contains nitrogen, minerals, life force. When you return it to earth, you are not performing empty ritual. You are completing an energetic circuit. You are acknowledging yourself as part of the cosmic cycle, not separate from it. And something happens. The shame dissolves. You begin to feel the sacredness of the process, your connection to earth, to your ancestors, to the great rhythm of existence. It awakens. Do this practice, even once, and you will feel the shift. Now we descend deeper. Gate 2, Nigredo, meeting the shadow. Menstruation is the time of darkness. The alchemists called this Nigredo, the blackening, the death of the old form. During your bleeding days, everything you usually suppress rises to the surface. Old pain, unspoken anger, deep sadness, rage you didn't know was there. You feel crazy, unstable, too much. Perhaps you know this. The emotions come in waves. You cry without knowing why. You feel rage at small things. You want to burn everything down and start over. And society tells you this is pathological, hormonal imbalance, something to fix with medication. But this is not madness. This is your shadow asking to be seen. The shadow is everything you've pushed away, denied, buried. All the parts of yourself you were told were too much or not enough. During menstruation, the veil between conscious and unconscious grows thin. The shadow speaks, and if you run from it, suppress it, medicate it away, you lose access to its gifts. Because the shadow holds your power, your truth, your deepest knowing. The second practice, shadow journaling during bleeding. On the first or second day of menstruation, find 15 minutes of complete solitude. Take a journal, a pen, and lock the door. Write without stopping, without editing, without judging. Write these questions at the top of the page. What am I truly angry about? What hurts that I never speak? What do I not allow myself to feel? Then let your hand move. Don't think. Don't censor. Let the shadow speak through you. You may write things that shock you, things you didn't know you felt, dark things, raw things, true things. Do not judge what comes. Simply witness. This is the sacred work of Nigredo. You are composting the old, the rotten, the painful. You are making space for new growth. When you finish writing, place your hand on the pages and say, I see you. I honor you. I integrate you. This practice works because it gives the shadow permission to exist. And when the shadow is seen, witnessed, honored, it stops controlling you from the depths. The emotional intensity decreases. Clarity emerges. You are not running from the darkness. You are mining it for gold. Now, perhaps you're thinking, this sounds like going backward. I want to move forward, not dig into the past. But here is what I have observed. The future is not built by denying your nature. It is built by integrating it, by taking the ancient wisdom and choosing how to apply it with consciousness. You can have your modern life, your career, your goals, your ambitions, and you can honor your cycle. These are not opposites, they are complementary. The women I have seen who live this way, they are not less productive. They are more powerful because they stop fighting themselves. They stop wasting energy on suppression. They channel everything into creation. Try it just once and see what changes. We pass through the third gate, and here you will discover the deepest secret of all. Gate 3. The uterus as Athenor. In medieval alchemy, there was a vessel called the Athenor, the furnace, the sealed chamber where base metals were transformed into gold. The Athenor was not just a physical object. It was the universal womb, the place where prima materia, the raw substance, underwent the great work. Your uterus is a living Athenor, right now, in this moment. Every month, it performs the great work without your conscious participation. But when you bring awareness to the process, it becomes a tool of transformation beyond anything you can imagine.
The Athenor required 4 things: fire, the heat of transformation; container, the sealed space where nothing escapes; prima materia, the raw substance to be transmuted; and time. The process cannot be rushed. Your womb has all of this. Menstruation is the prima materia, the old, the dead, the shed. Your breath, your awareness, your intention. This is the fire.
Medieval alchemists spoke of solve et coagula. Dissolve and coagulate. Break down and rebuild. This is exactly what happens in your cycle. Menstruation is solve, dissolution, death, the old form breaking apart. Your follicular phase is coagula, beginning, new forms starting to emerge. And ovulation. Ovulation is coagula complete, full manifestation, the gold. The third practice, the breath of the Athenor. Lie down in a quiet place. Place both hands on your lower belly, fingers pointing toward your womb. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply into your belly. Feel it rise under your hands. As you inhale, count to 4. As you hold the breath, visualize a golden fire igniting in your uterus. See it. Feel it. Know it is there. Hold for 4 counts. Then exhale slowly for 6 counts. As you exhale, feel warmth spreading from your womb into your pelvis, down your legs, up your spine. The fire spreads. The heat circulates. Continue this for 7 to 10 minutes, 15 to 20 breath cycles. Notice what arises: warmth, tingling, pulsing, pressure. Some women feel intense heat. Others feel a deep, glowing presence. There is no right or wrong. Simply observe. This breath activates the inner fire. It turns your womb from a passive vessel into an active crucible. The heat burns away what no longer serves. It creates space for the new. Many women report that pain decreases during this practice. Cramps soften. Heaviness lifts. Why? Because pain is often held tension, stored resistance. When you breathe into it, when you activate warmth and circulation, the holding releases. But beyond the physical, there is an energetic shift. You begin to feel your womb not as a problem, but as a source of power. Not as something broken, but as something alchemical. You have been taught that pain is something to suppress. Pop a pill, keep functioning, pretend your body isn't screaming. But what if pain is your body's way of saying, stop, descend, transform? What if the ache in your womb is not dysfunction, but invitation? An invitation to go inward, to meet what waits there, to allow the fire to do its work. Practice this breath, not once, but every cycle, and watch what transmutes. Let me tell you a story, a true story, though it happened thousands of years ago. In ancient Egypt, there was a priestess named Merit. She served in the temple of Isis, the Great Mother. Once a month, during her bleeding time, Merit would retreat to the inner sanctum, not because she was unclean, but because she was most powerful. The other priestesses would bring her questions written on papyrus, questions about healing, about prophecy, about mysteries they could not solve. Merit would lie in complete darkness, hands resting on her womb, and she would receive visions, answers, wisdom that came not from her mind, but from somewhere deeper. Her blood was collected in sacred vessels. Later, it was mixed with oils and herbs, used in healing salves, given to the sick, offered to the dying. The people knew. They knew that menstrual blood carried life force, that it could heal, that it was holy. But then the temple was destroyed. Merit was forced into hiding. The knowledge was declared heresy. But before she died, she taught her daughter, who taught hers. The lineage continued underground, in secret, for centuries. That memory lives in you. Your body remembers what your mind has forgotten. Every month, you have the same portal Merit had, the same access to the depths. The question is, will you use it? Or will you keep pretending you're meant to function the same every single day, denying the rhythm that flows through your blood? You are not separate from Merit. You are her descendant, not by blood, but by essence. The lineage of women who know. It calls to you now. Will you answer? You have descended into Nigredo. You have met the shadow. You have activated the Athenor. Now, you rise. Gate 4, Albedo. Purification through movement. After the darkness of menstruation comes the dawn. This is Albedo, the white phase, the follicular phase of your cycle. The days when bleeding ends and life force returns. Your body knows this. Estrogen rises. Serotonin increases. Energy floods back into your cells. But this is not just chemistry. This is alchemy. This is the soul returning from the underworld with treasure. In the alchemical texts, Albedo was called the washing, the purification. After the death of Nigredo, the impurities are washed away. What remains is essence, pure potential. The white stone, not yet the gold, but getting close. Your lymphatic system activates during this phase. Circulation increases. Your body literally cleanses itself. Movement becomes medicine. The fourth practice, the serpent dance of Albedo. Stand with your feet hip-width apart, knees soft, slightly bent. Place your hands on your hips. Close your eyes. Begin to move your pelvis in slow, undulating waves. Forward, back, side to side. Let your spine ripple like a serpent moving through water. No effort, no performance, just following the rhythm that lives inside you. Imagine a golden serpent coiling up from your tailbone, through your spine, to the crown of your head. Each movement awakens the serpent. Each wave sends energy flowing. Continue for 5 to 7 minutes. Notice where movement flows easily. Notice where it catches, where it's blocked, where resistance lives. Don't force. Simply observe and continue. Why the serpent? Because in every ancient tradition, the serpent represents life force. Kundalini in Tantra, the Ouroboros in alchemy, the serpent of wisdom in Egypt. This is not metaphor. This is the energy that runs through your spine, your nervous system, your entire being. Pelvic movement awakens this force. It breaks up stagnation. It releases what was held during the death phase. It prepares your body for creation. Practice this during your follicular phase. When energy returns, don't just think about it. Move it. Circulate it. Let it flow. And now, we approach the highest gate. Gate 5. Rubedo. Ovulation as the moment of creation. This is the red phase, the culmination, the birth of the philosophical stone. At this moment, your womb, Athenor, reaches its highest temperature. The fire burns at maximum intensity. In alchemy, Rubedo is when lead finally becomes gold. When all the preparation, all the death, all the purification births something new, something radiant, something real. In Tantric philosophy, ovulation is when Shakti, the feminine creative power, reaches her zenith. At this moment, a woman can literally imprint her will onto reality through her energetic body. Society tells you this is just fertile time for pregnancy. But ancient priestesses knew something deeper. This is fertile time for any creation, a vision, a project, a new version of yourself, anything you wish to birth into the world. Here is the paradox that changes everything. You have been taught to see ovulation as nothing more than biology. But I have observed, when women consciously work with this phase, impossible things become possible. Intentions manifest. Doors open. Reality bends. Not through wishful thinking, through the union of will and embodied power. The fifth practice, the ovulation manifestation ritual, fire and water. You will need a candle and a bowl of warm water. Do this practice during your ovulation window, when you feel the peak of your energy. Light the candle. Place it before you. This is the fire of transformation, the element of will and action. Place your hands in the warm water. Feel the heat, the fluidity. This is water, the element of emotion and flow. Now, lift your wet hands from the water and place them on your lower belly, over your womb. Feel the warmth, the moisture, the life. Speak your intention aloud. Be specific. Be clear. Say, I create. My womb is the crucible. My will is the fire. This intention is sealed. As you speak, visualize your intention as golden light entering your womb. See it. Feel it. Know it is being planted in the most fertile soil that exists, your own creative power. Sit with this for 10 to 15 minutes. Keep your hands on your womb. Feel heat, pulsing, expansion. Some women feel tingling. Others feel a deep, glowing presence. Trust what arises. Why does this work? Because ovulation is Rubedo, the moment when opposites unite. Fire and water, will and surrender, masculine intention and feminine receptivity. When these forces meet in your body, at the peak of your power, manifestation occurs. This is not magic. This is physics, energetic physics. The ancients knew it. Now you know it too. Practice this. During every ovulation, plant one clear intention and watch what grows. Now you know this. You know your cycle is not random biology. It is an alchemical map. Nigredo, Albedo, Rubedo. Death, purification, rebirth. Every single month. And here is what matters. You can never unknow this. You can ignore it. You can pretend. You can go back to suppressing your cycle with pills and pushing through the pain. But you will never again be the woman who didn't know. Never again be innocent of your own power. The only question is, what will you do with this knowledge? 2 gates remain: the harvest, the integration, the return to the beginning, but changed. Gate 6, the luteal phase, integration. After the peak of ovulation comes the descent, the luteal phase, the 2 weeks before bleeding begins again. This is when PMS arrives: irritability, sensitivity, criticism, a desire to burn everything down and start over. Perhaps you know this well. You become angry at small things. You see flaws everywhere. You withdraw from people, from life. You feel heavy, dark, done. And society calls this dysfunction. Premenstrual syndrome. A disorder to medicate away. But what if this is not disorder? What if this is your inner truth teller emerging? What if the luteal phase removes the rose-colored glasses and shows you, with brutal honesty, what no longer serves? The luteal phase is when Shakti begins her descent back into Kali, the destroyer, the one who cuts away what is false. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's intense. But it is not wrong. This is the harvest time. After you planted your intention at ovulation, the luteal phase shows you what grew and what needs to be composted. It shows you where you're lying to yourself, where you're tolerating the intolerable, where you need to set boundaries. Listen to this phase. Don't suppress it. It is showing you the truth. Now, perhaps you're thinking, I have such strong pain during my cycle. No practices will help. I have observed pain decrease by 60 to 80% when women stop fighting their cycle and start working with it. Not immediately. Over 3 to 6 months, sometimes longer. Pain is often stored resistance. When you clench against your cycle, when you push through instead of resting, when you deny what your body needs, the pain intensifies. It has to. It's the only way your body can make you listen. But when you soften, when you honor the rhythm, when you allow the descent, the pain softens too. I have seen this hundreds of times. Try it. What do you have to lose except pain? Gate 7. Cyclical magic. Living through your rhythm. The 7th gate is not a destination. It is a practice, a way of living cyclically in a linear world. Here is what I recommend. Map your cycle. Notice the pattern. Then structure your life accordingly. During menstruation, Nigredo, schedule rest, introspection, journaling. shadow work. Say no to social obligations. Go inward. During your follicular phase, albedo, plan new projects, social connection, physical activity. This is when you have energy to give. During ovulation, rubedo, schedule important meetings, creative work, manifestation rituals. This is your power peak. Use it wisely. During the luteal phase, complete projects, edit, refine, set boundaries, prepare for the next descent. In the Taoist tradition, masters spoke of the microcosmic orbit, the circulation of energy through the body. Your menstrual cycle is a microcosmic orbit. When you align with it consciously, you access the Tao, the way. You stop fighting the river. You become the river. And yes, people may think you're strange if you live this way. They may not understand why you cancel plans during menstruation, why you structure your month around your cycle. But I have seen what happens when women stop performing normal and start honoring their nature. They become magnetic, powerful, undeniably real. The right people are drawn to that authenticity. The wrong people fall away. And what remains is truth. Before we complete this journey, I must tell you something crucial. You are not alone in this work. You are part of an unbroken lineage of women who remembered, who kept the knowledge alive, even when it was forbidden. There were women in Egypt who knew, priestesses who honored their blood as sacred, women in Tantric temples who understood the power of the yoni, women in European forests burned as witches for working with the moon, the plants, the cycles, and women in your own bloodline, your grandmothers, your great-grandmothers, women who worked with rhythm and intuition, even when they had no words for it, even when the knowledge had been fragmented, diluted, almost lost. That memory is encoded in your cells, in your DNA, in the marrow of your bones. When you begin these practices, you are not learning something new. You are remembering. You are waking up what has been sleeping for generations. Call on them. When you light a candle for your ovulation ritual, speak their names if you know them, or simply say, I call on my ancestors who held this knowledge. Guide me. Support me. I am doing what you could not. You are not alone. When you practice, thousands of years of feminine wisdom stand behind you. Thousands of women who knew, who remembered, who passed it down in whispers and symbols and blood. They are watching. They are celebrating. They are saying, finally, she remembers. Welcome home, daughter. Welcome back to the temple. The doors have always been open. You just forgot the way. Now you remember. The 7 gates stand open behind you. You have passed through them all. You are not the woman who began this journey. You entered believing menstruation was a curse, something to hide, to suppress, to endure. Now you see it differently. You see it as Nigredo, as the necessary death that precedes rebirth, as the portal into shadow, into truth, into power. You discovered the alchemical nature of your cycle. Nigredo, Albedo, Rubedo. Death, purification, manifestation. A complete map of transformation happening in your body every single month. You learned the 7 gates. Blood as sacred substance. Shadow as teacher. Womb as Athenor. Movement as medicine. Ovulation as creation point. Integration as harvest. Cyclical living as path. You received practices. 5 keys to unlock what was sleeping. The ritual of returning blood to earth. Shadow journaling. The breath of the Athenor. The serpent dance. The manifestation ritual of fire and water. You connected with the lineage, the priestesses who remembered, the women who kept this knowledge alive through darkness, through persecution, through erasure. And perhaps some part of you is thinking, this sounds too good to be true. What if I try and nothing changes? Then you have lost nothing but an hour of your time. But I have observed hundreds of women transform their relationship with their cycle through these practices. Not through magic, not overnight, but through consistent embodied practice. Yes, transformation happens. The question is not whether it works. The question is, are you willing to try? Start small. Next time you bleed, practice the Athenor breath. Just once. Notice what shifts. Next ovulation, light a candle and speak one intention. See what manifests. You don't need to do everything perfectly. You need to do one thing consciously and observe what changes. Remember this. Your menstrual cycle is the great work happening every month in your body. When you become conscious of it, it becomes a tool for transformation, not theory. Practice. Not someday. Now. You came here for a reason. Some part of you knew there was more to your cycle than pain and inconvenience. That part was right.
Trust it. Menstruation is not a curse. It is a portal. Your body is not broken. It is alchemical. You are not weak during your cycle. You are becoming. The lead of shame is transmuting into the gold of power. The darkness you feared is revealing itself as fertile soil. The blood you hid is showing itself as sacred substance. If this knowledge resonates, if something in you recognized truth here, I invite you to share which gate called to you most strongly. Write it in the comments below. Sometimes speaking our truth aloud is the first act of reclaiming power. Remember what I said at the start? That this knowledge was stolen from us, erased from memory, called curse instead of gift. Now you have it back. The 7 gates are open. The practices are yours. The lineage acknowledges you. What you do with this is your choice, but you can never unknow it. You can never return to ignorance of your own power. Welcome home, priestess. The temple is your body. The ritual is your cycle. The magic is yours. The gates stand open. Walk through them.